YouTube's about to the kid back with another video, man. We got College 26 official Dynasty deep dive, man. Y'all know what we do. We watch the trailer. Even though I think they said it's not really a trailer or whatever. But we watch the trailer, then we're gonna watch Eric Mayweather, man. Eric Rayweather. I always say Eric Mayweather, bro. It's Eric Rayweather. And see what he talking about. You know, he always got all the info and shit.
Hey everybody, it's Kirk Herbstreit.
Improvement. Can't get copyrighted.
Dynasty and EA Sports College Football 26 are focused around adding authenticity to every Dynasty run, while also delivering on community feedback.
Kirby.
For the first
Ryan Day. Yeah, they got the head coaches in that bit.
Dynasty by stepping into the role of one of over 300
this looks the exact same. I'm just gonna say that.
College football coaches to ensure each coach and coordinator's authentic styles are highlighted. We completely rebalanced archetypes and
this looks the same thing though.
Playbooks with over 2,800 new plays. So when you battle a CEO like Kirby,
or did they add a different defense?
Archetypes and abilities and enhance.
Or maybe I really just gotta look in there.
To ensure
4-2-5.
Coach and coordinator's authentic styles are highlighted. We completely rebalanced archetypes and abilities and enhanced playbooks with over 2,800 new plays. So when you battle a CEO like Kirby Smart one week and a program builder like Lane Kiffin the next, you truly feel the
that really do look like, bro.
On the football field. This new depth
I like playing with Ole Miss.
When creating your own coach, giving you more control over the path you ultimately take. A new progression curve offers early career momentum with more sustained growth across a new level cap up to 100. Of course, no coach excels at everything. So
shit, I do.
Coordinators who complement your strengths or shore up your weaknesses, and make sure to leverage your staff's active archetype perk.
I always pick big recruiter every time. I got to, bro. You need that shit.
To how coaching archetypes are unlocked, balanced, and expanded make each coaching path even more strategic and distinct. All three base archetypes now
recruiter gotta be
a minimum coach level to unlock, promoting focused early investment and making your initial archetype choice more meaningful. New scaling archetype costs encourage more intentional choices as you progress. Now, advancing within your specialty, like moving from recruiter to elite recruiter, is more affordable than a path that requires learning a new skill set.
As it should.
Preserve your dynasty legacy with the all-new trophy room.
Trophy room gonna be hard. It's gonna be like that. I thought you was gonna be able to actually see the trophy.
One throughout your coaching journey.
Like these. Like in the room. But it's cool too.
The new college football history feature serves as a college football history book and lets you compare your program to the all-time greats, adding a new dimension of legacy.
Alabama just got full of trophies. I'm knowing.
We've revamped the transfer portal to create more realistic player movement, especially among the 4- and 5-star players. To create more
I see Caleb Downs in there. Why?
Player movement, especially among the 4- and 5-star players. Now, from 2,000 up to 3,500 athletes can enter the portal each season. Fresh ways to build your roster year after year. New dynamic deal breakers are player expectations that evolve with their talent.
Dynamic deal breakers is crazy though.
Happy with average facilities? If he's an All-American by junior year, he might be looking for top-tier amenities. And
it makes sense, but that might be crazy.
Your most talented players may still demand playing time. Some coaching
if you had a good ass score, it really don't even matter for real.
Providing strategic recruiting advantages. New dynamic dev traits have a bigger impact on player growth, along with more abilities across 59 total player archetypes for better variety among athletes. And skill group levels increase from 10 to 20, so progression feels more gradual and realistic.
Yo, what's good, Ethan? My bad.
Recruiting visits
I'm just
now
not
involve
peeping.
location-based costs. So the further a prospect lives from your campus, the more recruiting hours a visit costs. This simulates
That's
an authentic
whack,
recruiting
though.
challenge faced
It
by
makes
local
sense, though, but
authorities
it's
who
this shit
must focus
dumb.
locally,
But it makes
while
sense.
powerhouses can recruit nationally. New recruiting battles create high-stakes showdowns when multiple schools are neck and neck for a coveted recruit, and team needs are now front and center on your prospect list, so you always know exactly where to focus your efforts. When it comes to wear and tear, every player now has a seasonal health pool that depletes as they recover, and once it's empty, they can't bounce back until the offseason. New auto subs incorporate different wear and tear strategies, allowing you to customize substitution thresholds and better manage your team's long-term usage. Within custom conferences, the new protected opponents option ensures certain annual matchups, regardless of divisional changes.
They did that
Preserve key
anyway.
rivalries like Michigan versus Ohio State every year with this feature, up to
I
2
feel like-
protected opponents per team.
I don't know if they saying you could change it or not, but I think they had that last year
To
too.
assign players to specific alignments, adding ways to strategically exploit opponent team weaknesses. Take advantage
that's
of
hard.
new position archetypes with up to 50 subs per team, with packages that persist season to season. With crossplay in Dynasty, build your college football empire with friends on any
Crossplay,
platform.
baby.
Use
They
the
really could have added that shit last year.
new members tab to effortlessly
And I'm really
manage
on to what they doing, but they'll add some shit on something, and then they can add it, but they decide to add it the next year to act like it's like a big thing, bro.
Pre-order the MVP bundle.
Yeah, that makes
Includes
sense.
both EA Sports College Football 26 and Madden NFL 26 for Xbox Series XS and PlayStation 5.
All right, Eric Weaver. Y'all know we speeded up. 27 minutes, gang lord. Yeah, you going to 1.5.
Football 26 Dynasty Mode Deep Dive is officially live, and we have a lot to break down. Now, this video is sponsored by EA because they did get me this information early so that I could get this video ready quickly for you
Come on,
guys.
man.
It's a lot to go into today. They dropped a trailer. They dropped a 76-page blog, which is insane. It takes a really long time to read.
pages?
I've condensed a lot of the information down so that this
fucking,
video won't
like,
be an hour long.
mega
There's going to be more
essay.
deep dives coming, more gameplay videos, and some exclusive
lot
footage
of
that I'll
it
have soon. If
talking
you don't want to
about
miss out on all that, make sure you
Nathaniels.
subscribe and turn the bell icon on, because we still got a lot more information coming before this game releases. Trying to get to 650k subs before the release of this game, so if everybody watching just subscribe, we can hit that number today. So to start out the deep dive, they mentioned how College Football 26 represents year 2 of their vision, a year focused on building on the foundation that was set last year. They've added a lot of stuff that the community wanted, they've listened to a lot of the feedback, and they've cleaned up some of the issues that they had. So let's start with building your coach. When starting your dynasty, you can create a coach or choose from over 300 real-life head coaches and coordinators, each with authentic playbooks, schemes, tendencies, stats, and coaching abilities. In Dynasty mode, you'll face real coaches with authentic playstyles both in games and on the recruiting trail. You can even hire them through the coaching carousel.
make
If
Deion
creating your own
Sanders
coach,
since he
new
don't
gear
wanna be in
options
the
let you
game.
customize their look with everything from a hoodie and joggers to a quarter zip and jeans.
Now
You can
this,
even grace the
oh,
sidelines
this
with a sweet
hard. Coming out as coach with rip. Oh, that's hard.
Just lets you customize their look with everything from a hoodie and joggers
I'm gonna be skinny as hell, but do that.
to a quarter zip and jeans. You can even
Ain't
grace
nobody
the sidelines
taking me
with a sleeveless shirt
serious.
and shorts. It's all up to you. You can now even customize your coach's
And some
demeanor and
shorts
stance,
on.
whether calm and composed or fiery and intense, adding more personality to how they appear and act on the field.
I
And your
like
coach level
that.
caps will now be at 100, up from 50 from last year, with rebalanced XP rewards and a new progression curve for early momentum and long-term growth. Archetypes will also play a key role in this. For example, Tactician has the highest XP potential but requires wins. Motivator and Recruiter are steadier but offer lower ceilings. Now it says here that the 3 base archetypes, Recruiter, Motivator, and Tactician, now require a minimum coach level to unlock. This change encourages more focused investment early in your career, making that initial archetype choice even more meaningful. This helps reinforce the rock, paper, scissors relationship not just between archetypes, but also you and your coordinators. Choosing a staff that complements or counters your strengths is more important than ever. Each archetype you unlock becomes incrementally more expensive, encouraging more intentional choices as your coaching journey evolves. For example, if you start as a recruiter, becoming an elite recruiter will be much cheaper than trying to learn a completely new skill set and become a motivator. Just like in real life, it's easier to grow within an existing area or expertise than to take on a new and unrelated skill set. Program builder and
Right on.
CEO archetypes are the exceptions. As broader leadership-focused archetypes rather than specific coaching disciplines, they are not impacted by scaling costs and remain more accessible once you meet their unlock requirements. The program builder's friends and family discount lowers archetype costs if another coach already owns them, rewarding smart staff choices. Archetype abilities have also been rebalanced to emphasize trade-offs, with adjusted costs and new abilities to deepen specialization and coaching identity. Moving on to the coaching carousel. This is an area that did need some improvement. It says you'll now receive notifications when coordinators accept or decline job offers, as well as alerts when one is posted for a new opportunity. But it says they've also added 3 new program builder abilities that give you more control over the hiring and retention process. Forever Home, your coordinators are less likely to leave for another job. Deal Sweetener, coordinators are more likely to accept your job offer. And Cream of the Crop increases the caliber of coordinators available for you to hire.
I wonder if it's
Top
gonna be
coaches now
easier
get better
to,
job offers, and the
earn
staff move
points this
screen
year.
shows each coach's
Like a
old
coaching
/ new
points.
role, school, and reason for leaving. Moving on to the trophy room, something that was highly requested and it is now here this year. Every time you win a major game or award in Dynasty, a trophy is added to your personal trophy room, viewable from the Dynasty Hub or main menu. Each Dynasty has its own room tracking over 160 possible trophies with detailed info like year, team, opponent, and player. The trophy room is shared across all modes: Dynasty, Road to Glory, Play Now, and Road to the College Football Playoff, keeping your legacy alive no matter how you play, which I think is pretty cool. So you can share this across any different mode that you play and just rack up trophies.
Really
Now let's move on to the part about building your program. So this is where we're going to talk
Drag your
about
nuts on a
transfer
nigga.
portal, recruiting, and stuff like that. Starting with the transfer portal, which was another area that definitely needed some work. The transfer portal in College Football 26 is now more unpredictable, with around 2,000 players entering annually, forcing tough roster decisions. Star ratings are now based more on position and class year, not just overall. You can build through the portal for instant impact or develop high school. 26 is now more unpredictable, with around 2,000 players entering annually, forcing tough roster decisions. Star ratings are now based more on position and class year, not just overall. You can build through the portal for instant impact or develop. College Football 26 is now more unpredictable, with around 2,000 players entering annually, forcing tough roster decisions. Star ratings are now based more on position and class year,
So it's based on position and class year, not overall.
not just overall. You can build through the portal for instant impact or develop high school talent, each with its own pros and cons.
I don't
Retaining
get
players
it,
is just
though.
as critical as
So,
managing
like, if you're a
expectations plays
freshman, are
big
you
role
gonna
in
be
keeping your roster
penalized
intact.
star-wise?
In College 26, every player now has a defined
Or
deal breaker, a
if
key
you're a
expectation
senior
that, if unmet, could
versus
lead
if
them
you're a
into the
senior?
transfer portal. New this year is conference
don't make
prestige as a
sense.
deal breaker and a revamped playing time system that now considers actual snaps
gotta
played,
explain
not just
that a
depth
little
chart
more.
position. In College 26, every player now has a deal breaker, giving each one a clearly defined expectation and a chance to enter the portal if that expectation isn't met. Even players without playing time as their main deal breaker, especially QBs, 5 stars, and top backups, may still leave if they're not seeing the field as they would in real
Now
life.
that's
This
whack.
adds realism, discourages talent hoarding, and brings risk to
And
redshirting
it's Jeremiah
players, especially in
Smith.
online Dynasty.
Bro, they just put anybody in. They put, okay, I get. They put literally everybody in the goddamn transfer portal. I'm saying Arch
where cheese
Manning.
tactics are now more punishable, so you can't
Simmons
just hoard a
from
bunch of players.
Texas.
They're going to want to leave if
I'm
they're not
pretty
playing.
sure.
Which brings us to the dynamic deal breakers. These replace the fixed B grade threshold from College Football 25. Now player expectations evolve with performance. Better players demand more. This mimics real life big fish in a small pond moves, as breakout stars may transfer to bigger programs when their current school no longer matches their rising goals. Expectations like academics or NIL now scale with the player's overall rating or star ranking. For example, Tennessee's QB left for UCLA after his brand deal breaker demands grew. The system makes transfers feel more natural and reflective of modern college football. Your coach and staff choices
And where did he
directly
end up
affect how well
going?
you manage
Nico. Where did Nico end up going?
evolving player expectations. But there are some key abilities here that can help you,
He
like
really
lower the
left
bar, which is a
Texas
strategist
for
ability. This lowers the grade needed to meet deal breakers up to 1 full letter. The family atmosphere master motivator ability reduces transfer likelihood even if expectations aren't met. Program builder also has abilities such as gift of gab, roster retainer, and full refund. This improves the chances to persuade players to stay. As players grow, their demands change. Adapting your strategy is crucial to long-term success. Every program's identity is defined by its My School grade, which measures strengths and weaknesses across 14 categories. The grade curve has been rebalanced with fewer teams in the A-B range, making differentiation clearer between top-tier programs and the rest. A major change is in pro potential. Previously, based on current rosters, it's now determined by a school's draft history over the past 4 seasons, tracked by position. This means you can now clearly see which schools are consistently sending talent to the next level and who truly deserves the title of wide receiver U. And they also did add in some transfer portal customization in the settings. You can set max transfers per team now. You can adjust the transfer probability
we don't need no max transfers.
on user teams, which scales how likely a player is to transfer if their deal breaker is violated. You could also do this for CPU teams as well. Improvements to playing style now better reflect team performance rather than individual stats, especially on defense. Defensive players are now evaluated by team stats like passing or rushing yards allowed, offering a more accurate portrayal of how your team plays. Additionally, starting grades for every team have been adjusted to align more closely with real-world standings, utilizing the new grading distribution for a fairer reflection. Now that brings us to something new that is called location-based recruiting. Visit costs will depend on how close a recruit lives to your campus. Visits can range from 10 to 40 recruiting hours, making local recruiting more efficient and forcing strategic choices based on geography and budget. The CEO archetype's more the merrier ability doubles weekly visit capacity from 4 to 8, while the strategist perk adds bonus XP when visitors come during wins. Stacking the strategist
I think having the Florida team is still
visitor
just kind of like
you
OP.
can massively boost coach XP. Coordinating archetype perks like this is now key for fast staff progression. Scouting in College Football 26 is now more streamlined and impactful. Attribute displays have been standardized by position, making it easier to compare recruits across different archetypes. Now, when comparing 2 players of the same position, you'll see their shared attributes lined up the same way every time, making comparisons easier. Plus, the mind reader ability, which is for the strategist archetype, now reveals a recruit's development trait during scouting, not just campus visits, giving you an early edge in spotting high upside talent. They've also added something called recruiting battles. Instead
That's
of committing
big,
right away,
bro.
the recruit
Being able to see if they're gonna be a star, elite, like before.
mind reader ability, which is for the strategist archetype, now reveals a recruit's development trait during scouting, not just campus visits,
During scouting.
giving you an early edge in spotting high upside talent. They've also added something called recruiting battles. Instead of committing right away, the recruit raises their commitment threshold, giving 2 schools a short window to make one final push. It's a head-to-head sprint. The first to hit the new bar lands the recruit. No more mystery, just a clear fight to the finish. And they also did a lot of work with recruit generation. In College Football 26, it now generates 4,100 recruits per season, creating a deeper, more varied talent pool. Elite prospects, especially athletes, are rarer, making them more valuable. Brand exposure is now a key pitch for glamour positions like quarterback, running back, wide receiver, corner, and edge rusher, aligning with NIL expectations. Deal breakers and pitches have been rebalanced to create more overlap, requiring deeper scouting. High school recruits now start lighter, with more natural weight progression, and a new lean body type represents wiry, underdeveloped athletes, especially at the wide receiver position. Deal breakers and pitches now have more overlap, making it harder to quickly identify a recruit's ideal pitch. You'll need to dig deeper. They've also done a lot of work with the sway mechanic. It says sway is now clearer and more strategic in College 26. It lets you add a second or even third ideal pitch when your school doesn't align with the recruit's preferences. You'll now see the success probability before using it, based on how much motivational overlap exists. Successful sways are visually marked on your board, making it easy to spot recruits you've influenced. Success with sway still relies on pitch overlap, but the persuasive personality ability for the recruiter archetype will boost your odds. It's especially useful when you're behind and need a new path in. Used wisely, sway can shift a recruiting battle in your favor. They've also added some quality of life upgrades to recruiting, making it faster and easier to manage your board. Team needs are now pinned to the top of the prospect list and updated in real time. Up and down arrows now show if you're rising or falling on a recruit's top schools. Red dots and highlights signal when the recruit enters a pitch stage or are close to committing. You can now favor recruits by double tapping triangle or Y, which helps track your top targets.
Bro.
New search filters include max star rating, pipeline.
Hold on.
Or falling on a recruit's top schools. Red dots and highlights signal when the recruit enters a pitch stage or are closer committing. You can now favor recruits by double tapping triangle or Y, which helps track your top targets. New search filters include max star rating, pipeline level,
instead of just having to have them on your board, you can just favor them.
Tools will just help you recruit smarter, quicker, and stay focused. They've also done some work with player progression. It says player development is crucial to building a championship. In College 26, progression has been rebalanced and expanded to create more realistic growth, greater player differentiation, and clearer separation between programs. In College 26, player progression is more gradual and realistic. The number of skill group levels has increased from 10 to 20, allowing for smoother development. Players with high development traits, impact, star, and elite will progress more consistently, while physical changes like weight gain now occur during the offseason, reflecting player maturity. Your school's athletic facilities grade now impact player progression, with better facilities boosting development. This adds another layer to program building, highlighting the gap between elite schools and others. Moving on to physical abilities. In College 26, some abilities now require 2 attribute ratings to unlock, making top-tier abilities rare and increasing player differentiation. For example, Platinum Shifty will now require 97 change of direction and 96 acceleration for wide receivers. The archetype system has also been overhauled, introducing new player types and physical ability combinations to better reflect the diversity of players in college football. Player performance now directly influences their long-term potential. If a player excels during the season, they may upgrade their development trait during the offseason. Upgrading depends on their stats relative to the position, and it's harder to move up the higher their current trait. The Gains Getter ability, which is for the CEO archetype, increases the odds of upgrading. If a player's trait upgrades, you'll get a notification and see it highlighted in the training results screen. The training results screen has also been revamped for better visibility into a player's growth. You can now see how much each attribute increased for every player, along with their weight gain, upgraded abilities, and any change to their development trait. This provides a clearer view of the offseason progression, which is great because this was one of the bigger annoyances last year. You didn't really see where they improved and by how much.
What they got up.
It was pretty impossible for an entire team. There's also manual progression, which can be enabled in the league settings for more control over player development. When active, players earn skill points but don't automatically spend them. You can manually allocate skill points to a player's player card. To maintain balance, manual progression does have a default 25% nerf, which can be adjusted or turned off by the Dynasty Commissioner. Moving on to position changes.
So you can actually upgrade what you want to upgrade.
When a player switches positions, they retain only the ability shared between their old and new archetypes. Skill group caps are adjusted based on how closely the new position aligns with the old one. For example, moving a running back to wide receiver results in a smaller drop than switching to an offensive tackle. The further apart the positions are, the harder the transition. The player module will show which abilities are retained, and the player's development trait remains the same, ensuring consistent growth as they adapt in their new role. Now let's talk about managing wear and tear. In College 26, player durability is influenced by how their body responds to physical demands of the season. It's not just about injuries. Each hit adds up. Some players can withstand more wear and tear, while others break down under repeated impacts. In College 26, each player has a season and career health that determines how much wear and tear they can recover.
Career health is crazy.
Once a player's season health pool is depleted, they can't recover damage until the offseason. This plays out in real scenarios like last year's national championship game, where Notre Dame's quarterback, after a heavy workload, showed noticeable performance decline due to accumulated wear and tear. At the end of each season, a player's health pool replenishes, but its size depends on how much was left at the end. Players with a nearly empty pool start the next season with a smaller one, while those with a full pool maintain a larger one. You'll now manage a player's career clock with how much they're used each season, affecting their longevity, adding more strategic decisions about player usage and health management throughout the year. Now, they talked about this in the gameplay deep dive, but they have added new auto subs and stuff like that to the game, and there's some different ones that you can use, such as Keep Fresh, which prioritizes rotating players out early to limit accumulated wear and tear. You can have it on normal, which is a balanced approach that will keep a steady rotation. You can set your auto sub to grind it out, where players will stay in even if they've had significant wear and tear. They'll try to grind it out, or you could set this up to custom. So there are some settings to help deal with the new wear and tear system. And the wear and tear itself has a custom settings menu, so you can adjust everything from how much a hit damages players to how much they replenish between quarters and halftime, so you can kind of tailor this to your liking. Now let's move on to some other stuff here for Dynasty, and here we're going to to talk about the history. They've done a lot of work with this. It says in College 26, the new college football history feature allows you to relive your dynasty's legacy. Access through the Stats and Records tab in the Dynasty Hub, it tracks national champions dating back to 1869, conference champions, and historical player and coach award winners, such as Heisman and Coach of the Year. You can filter records by team or conference, exploring the evolution of conferences like the Pac-12. This feature does grow with your dynasty, preserving every moment and champions across 30 seasons. Additionally, 14 new awards have been adding, including the Maxwell and the Walter Camp Awards, along with a rebalanced evaluation of defensive stats for award considerations. In College 26, you can now view a player's full history of awards and accolades directly from their player card. Simply navigate the More tab, go to Stats, and filter awards. This section displays all their individual honors, including Heisman trophies, conference championships, All-American and All-Conference selections, Player of the Week honors, and even their transfer history. They've also done a lot of work behind the numbers, like stat tracking and tiebreakers. They go into detail about how the tiebreakers didn't always work out correctly last year, and they upgraded logic to better align with how real-world conferences settle their standings and to ensure outcomes make sense. So they've improved tiebreaker logic throughout the entire mode. But they've also done good work with player stats. It says the box score now displays the total number of plays and yards per play. They've also added new metrics within the season stats, career stats, and team stats. So for example, for quarterbacks, you can now see their touchdown percentage, sack rate, interception percentage, their touchdown to interception ratio, net yards per attempt, adjusted net yards per pass attempt, which is all really cool stuff. For running backs, you'll see their fumble rate. For punters, you'll see their touchback percentage. For team stats, you'll see total yards per game, rushing yards per game, passing yards per game, yards per play. For defense, you'll see yards allowed per game, rush yards allowed per game, pass yards allowed per game, points allowed per game, and sacks per game. You'll also see penalties per game and penalty yards per game. Moving on to new positions and archetypes. They've done a lot of work with that this year. Of course, they've updated the position terminology, which most of you, I think, know by now. So instead of defensive end, there's edge. They have the Sam, Will, and Mike linebackers. They have long snappers. They have the gadget position. They have nose tackles. So now you're going to have the correct positions, and this helps a lot when it comes to team building and recruiting. They've also added some new archetypes. So some positions like wide receiver now feature 7 unique archetypes, each designed to capture a distinct play style. Here's a breakdown of which makes each one unique. So you have like a speedster wide receiver, which is a pure burner who takes the top off the defense, not a tactician, but lethal in space. You have a route artist. You have the physical route runner, the elusive route runner, the gritty possession receiver, the gadget receiver, a guy that could do it all. He could take snaps at QB and running back. You've got a contested specialist. So they're just getting more detailed with archetypes now, and this is going to play into what abilities.
I think they only had like physical.
Moving on to formation subs, one of the biggest requests last year, probably along with the trophy room for Dynasty. That's
they only had like 4.
This brings more creativity to your team
them
strategy, allowing you to assign specific players to particular formations for mismatches and exploiting opponents' weaknesses. 50 formation subs per team. You can now set 50 formation substitutions, allowing for a wide variety of tactical advantages. The subs will carry over season to season unless a player leaves or you switch teams. If you switch playbooks, any formation shared between the old and new will retain the assigned subs, keeping your strategies intact, which I think that's just a small but very good thing that they added there.
Yes.
Moving on to custom conferences and protected opponents is another area that needed work. They've been improved to ensure scheduling integrity across multi-year dynasties. You can now lock in annual matchups regardless of division changes, allowing rivalries like Michigan and Ohio State to persist every year. Most conferences support 1 to 2 protected opponents per team, depending on the number of teams in conference games. Some setups may not support protected opponents due to scheduling constraints. Customizing conferences, you can now enable and disable protected opponents and adjust other conferences settings via the conference rule screen. You can also regenerate all protected matchups with the R3 button. They've also made scheduling updates to align with real-world games and where they're played. They've also made updates to the college football playoff to fit the new format. This offseason, the college football playoff has changed so that now the top 4 teams in the college football playoff rankings receive first-round buys. Previously, the buys were awarded to the 4 highest-ranked conference champions, so that change is going to be in Dynasty mode as well. They've also just made some quality of life changes. For example, quick access to player info. Anytime a player appears in a spreadsheet, you can now press triangle or Y to open their player card, or R3 or the right stick to view their stats and award history. That's a great change that was needed. Player stats and attributes are everywhere. Anywhere they appear in a spreadsheet, you'll now be able to access their season stats and player module. In addition to the 2 new player module panels, you can now view a player's depth trait in the ability sub-panel. There's a quick access to the team schedule within the conference standings and top 25 poll screens. You can now press triangle or Y to view the full team schedule. In the Dynasty Hub, they've added a new tab called Members. The Members tab lets you see every user in your online Dynasty or every coach character in your offline Dynasty. For each team, it shows their username, their team, their top 25 rank, their current week matchup and result, platform, online status, and whether they're ready to advance. As a commissioner, the Members tab is now where you will make all your commissioner actions like adding or removing users, toggling autopilot, promoting or demoting, transferring Dynasty ownership, inviting new users, etc. And they've added crossplay, which I think most of you know by now, but yes, Dynasty mode will be crossplay this year.
Which they really could have.
And there's some other little things that they added, like dynamic time of day. We learned about that yesterday in the presentation deep log, but you now have dynamic time of day, so the lighting and all that stuff will change based on the time and the quarter. They've also added some super sim tempo adjustments. Teams who run up-tempo style of play will now have an increased number of snaps during their game, better reflecting their style of play. There also is broken records feedback. When a player on your team breaks a single game, season, or career record, you will now receive a full screen takeover, which is awesome. For the coach stats screen, for the coach stats, you can now see the offensive and defensive coordinator stats. They also made a force win update. It says when forcing a win or loss, it now says the name of the team you are forcing a win for, so you no longer have to guess which team is home or away. Combined opponent record. When viewing a team schedule, you can now see their combined opponent record, giving you a quick snapshot of their strength of schedule. Advanced week confirmation. A confirmation pop-up will now appear when you go to advance to the next week, helping prevent accidental clicks that can cost you a national championship. You can now sim at 2 points in the season when advancing the week, you can now sim to any week in the season rather than specific weeks, which is, I think, a great update as well. There's redshirt updates. Players can now play in postseason games without them counting against their redshirt eligibility. Additionally, now when you redshirt a player, it will not reset the entire depth chart. Instead, it will only alter the positions that player was in the depth chart for. Scouting ability info. If you'd like to know more about what an ability is when scouting a player, you can highlight the ability
That
on the
shit
right
was
side panel,
annoying
and it
as
will display
hell
a
now that I
tooltip
think
informing
about
you
it,
what
bro.
does. Moving on to Team Builder, it says, this has now received major updates.
Like, you
following
a red
community
shirt,
positive
somebody,
feedback.
your
It's no longer in beta,
whole
which is great.
depth
You should
chart
get
is
faster
fried.
performance. The site is now 2 times faster, and it's now accessible on a wider range of devices, including lower-end machines. They added some expanded
I never got
customization.
into
Previously,
all
it was
that,
limited
though.
to 10 custom images. You can now upload up to 5 megabytes of custom content per team, giving you more creative freedom to customize your teams with as many images and textures as you need within the file size limit. And Team Builder is now more integrated with the Dynasty mode, allowing for smoother and more seamless team creation and management. In College 26, you can also import your College Football 25 teams directly into the new game, preserving the time and creativity you invested in your previous creations. But there's more details here for Team Builder. So when it comes to your school grades, you can set your school grades and define their identity. These grades help shape your program's strengths and weaknesses, and you can select from unique templates to define your team's starting point. Whether you're aiming to be a powerhouse, a pro factory, or a cupcake trying to rise to prominence, there's a template that fits your vision. Choose a school identity template that matches your vision for your program. After selecting a template, you'll see your program's projected team prestige and my school grades. Some grades are shown in exact values, while others appear in ranges, which can vary based on other elements. Factors that influence grades. Stadium atmosphere is adjusted based on the size of the stadium you select. Championship contender, this grade depends on the team you replace in Dynasty mode as you inherit their preseason ranking. Coach stability, coach prestige, and conference prestige. These grades are based on your coach's setup and the conference you choose, not the template. And they've also enhanced the roster editing.
The
It now has its own
academic
dedicated
shit
tab
never
with
really
enhanced
makes
features designed
sense
to give
if
you
you
more
think
control
about
over
it,
your
bro.
team.
How do
You can now
you
view your team's overall
improve your
offensive and defensive
academics?
ratings at the top
You
of your
just
roster
a
screen
football
with
team.
these values updating in real time as you make changes. When you view an individual player, you'll also be able to see their overall rating, so you always know how your edits impact the team's performance. This makes roster management more intuitive and gives you a clear understanding of how each change affects your team. When editing a player, you'll find 2 new tabs: Bio and Skill Ratings. The Bio tab lets you modify key player details and appearance. Within this tab, you can edit the following fields: their first and last name, previous redshirt status, high school star rating, and deal breaker. As mentioned in the Dynasty discussion, all players now have dynamic deal breakers, and the deal breaker threshold will determine when you import your team into Dynasty mode based on the player's final overall. In the skill ratings and abilities tab, you can control the player's strength and growth. You can set their archetype, which determines their physical abilities. You can set their development trait, their potential, which impacts their
telling you,
skill
bro.
caps. Physical abilities can be assigned a tier, none
That
to platinum,
dynamic
based on the player's attributes with
change,
prompts
bro, that
to
shit
adjust
gonna
ratings
piss
as
me
needed. You can
off,
also
bro.
fully customize your recruiting
Especially in my
pipeline. Each pipeline
online
is assigned
leagues,
a
bro.
tier
Them
of 1 to
niggas be
5,
so
tier 5 being the strongest. You can
grimy.
adjust these pipelines based on your school's history or strategic goals. You can also create up to 5 rivalries for your team builder team. Define the rival team, rivalry name, first year, all-time stats record, last game's winner, and score. This info carries into Dynasty mode. Simply set a rival and replace them with your team builder school. And they've also added some generic stadiums. It says there's 3 generic stadiums and a high school stadium to give you more flexibility
I
when
might try
creating
to
and
make a
customizing your
team
team.
next year.
All
Fuck
generic
it.
stadiums are small to medium sized and do not feature any team branding. Now, another big part of Dynasty mode is presentation. And yesterday we got a big presentation deep dive. And if you want to find out about all of those details, make sure you check out this video right here on the screen.
Hey man, tell me, comment down below how y'all feel about this next year. NCAA 26 coming out in a couple weeks. Vids will be uploaded religiously. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, do what y'all do, man.
Tell me something I don't know, some y'all know ain't something I don't know. Yeah. Boy, I been trapping my ass off, fucking I'ma hit up the old phone. Everybody see that sack, now everybody hitting up Lil D phone. Don't hit this phone if you ain't trying to spend no money, I'm trying to get this P on.
Subscribe to the channel, bro.